Hi, it's me, Raouf, also known as High Ruler, and I made this little game inside Unreal Engine based on Mario Wonder for the sole purpose of demonstrating the music design, audio design, how I would do it from scratch, from the creation to the design to the implementation inside the game engine, and not really deeply because it would take a lot of time and it's not really a tutorial, so it's more a showcase. Yeah, so none of it will ever be released for obvious reasons, but without further ado, I'm just gonna play a little from the game. I would let you analyze everything without speaking first, and we'll take it from there, and I'll explain everything when we jump from software to software and come back to Unreal. So without further ado, let's go. Okay, so we're gonna stop here. We'll complete the level later on, but before creating Unreal Engine, I'm just gonna open the level here. We'll come back to it later. So yeah, I'm gonna jump to the music session inside Nuendo. So here's how the music session for the level looks like. These are all the music for that specific level, and we can already start with the pre-entry here. As the name suggests, it's just a pre-entry for the main queue, this one. This section is loopable. Okay, I hear you. You didn't hear two layers, the choirs and the brass inside the level that I played, and it's for it will, I'll explain it later on. It will make sense, and just to showcase that this main cue loops. Yeah, so it's a seamless loop and it loops forever. So we have also the victory variation for it. That's once you complete the level, and also the when you lose section version for it. Also the P switch, when we press that P switch, which gives you like 9 seconds to collect all the coins. It's an homage to the 8-bit era, so pretty fun. And also we have here a transition segment to go from the main state here to the time is running out state, to the panic state here. So you first hear this one, and then it moves to so on and so forth. And also we have the very iconic underground theme, which I just covered here, but with a slight variation of it. I mean, who doesn't know these notes? So we also have the main state for the underground, and the transition stinger, and then panic state of it. And then we jump to and so that's all the music for this level. So it's how I pre-planned everything, all these sections, how I would implement them, and how I would use them, and how they would play with within each other. So so that's it for the music session here. Now we're gonna jump to Reaper for the sound design session of that level. And so here I try to recreate some of the sounds, some of the iconic sounds that belong to the Mario worlds, but I also added some a twist and or my own versions for some of it. So for example, for as you heard before, for the pipes, when you warp from one pipe to another, you would hear this instead of the original sound. And also when you have the 5 flowers spawning. Okay, so it's pretty different, and well, this coinless FX, we all know it. So I recreated it here with another synth, and also we have the blocks breaking. So the sound is when you bump your head with an empty block. You also have the power up, level up, and I don't know, squishing enemies just like the original sound. And sprint SFX, when you sprint. I didn't sprint for a very specific reason. I'll show you once we dive back to the game, So alright, so it also has some footsteps. But anyway, 22 sounds here for this game. Not too much, but it's very simple 2D game. So, and the main reason also I did it inside Reaper, it's very convenient. For example, instead of rendering every single sound here and then importing it inside Wwise, we have an extension called Wwise here, in which we choose the destination inside Wwise, and then we select the regions we want to be imported there. So once you select it, it will show here. Then you click on transfer to Wwise, and then it will render each region separately and import them individually inside Wwise. So that's it for the Reaper session here. Now we're gonna move to Wwise. Okay, so we are inside Wwise. So this is what I designed, the music systems and audio systems for the game, before implementing them inside the game engine. So to start here, inside the interactive music hierarchy, we have everything related to music, all the stems, all the variations and all that. And inside here, the music switch, we have different states. And so, for example, the main panic, as you can see, P switch, underground, once we go underground, etc. So we assign each piece or variations to different states here. To let's demonstrate this quickly. So, for example, I'm gonna set it to the main state, like the normal state, and we're gonna start. So let's say we warp to the underground. So I made it so that it transitions immediately. And then let's say we are in the underground, and then we when then time is running out, so we move to the panic state of the underground. Oh yeah, and then let's say we lose. And let's start over again, from the main again. This time, let's say we move again to the main panic. And this time, let's say we win. So that's basically how the music system is designed here inside the Wwise. And so yeah, the main level is always set so that the pre-entry is only played once the track starts inside the level, and then that main the main cue loops in an infinite number of times. So yeah, so it plays only once, and then it starts playing and looping infinitely now. And yeah, so let me demonstrate something else here. If you go to RTPCs, real-time parameter controls, and let's go to main drums. So for example, what I did is I assigned some RTPCs to some stems here, so that let me explain something here. So for example, here precisely in the 650 mark, it's the speed level, it's the normal speed level of the player. So once we sprint, we go to 1200, and below 650, let's call it idle. It's like we're not moving here. So if we're not moving, we won't be hearing the main drums and claps. As you can hear, there are no drums or claps. But if we start moving within the normal range, the 650, you can hear the claps and drums. And I also applied that to the jazz choirs here and the brass, so that they won't be playing within the normal speed, but they will be playing once you start sprinting. So for example, start again. So we are moving in normal speed. We hear only drums, but without these two additional layers here. But once we sprint, once we go back to the normal speed, we won't be hearing them. And then let's say we sprint again. So yeah, that's that. Don't mind these numbers here, because these units are configured inside the game engine. So yeah, I'll show you how I where those numbers are inside the game engine later on, inside Unreal Engine. So otherwise, I also created some RTPCs here within the master audio bus, which affects everything, the music and audio. So here we did the distance attenuation. I made it so that once you go from the foreground to the background, the sound of everything starts to be muffled and kind of sounds distant, just like the Mario game, Mario Wonder game. So for example, everything is crystal clear because we are in the foreground, but once we move to the background, you can hear it sound differently. And and let's say we go back to the foreground, and again we warp to the background. Yeah, so that's that. Otherwise, we have some SFXs here and different footsteps for different materials. For example, for the underground, I made it so that it sounds kind of metal. And I applied some pitch randomizations to most of the SFXs here so that they sound different each time they are triggered. They are kind of subtle, but they are different each time they are triggered, so to avoid the repetition. And one last thing here that I would like to show you is the block chords. So in the Mario Wonder game, we have these individual block chords, blocks, musical blocks that trigger either one note or chord within the scale of the music that's being played. So instead of having it played, having it, set to individual musical blocks, I just took all the chords here from within the scale and put them inside one musical block, so that each time you hit that block, you will hear different chords being played, being triggered randomly each time that you hit them. They would avoid being repeated after the five first chords. Yeah, so each time it triggers a different chord from within the scale here. And yeah, that's that. So after this, we create different events for all these assets, so that it communicates with the game engine, and then we go to sound bank, and we drag all the events inside the sound bank. We generate everything, and then we integrate the whole project within the Unreal Engine project, and then we start the implementation there. So that's that for Wwise. Now we're gonna move to Unreal Engine. Alright, so we are back inside Unreal, and this is a little map that I made for this demo. And let's just dive in the third-person character blueprint here, which is our player. Just to show you quickly that 1200 number for the sprint. So this is where you can change it to whatever number you want, and the normal speed is 650. You can change it to whatever number and go back and forth with Wwise and set that as you wish. And so we move to the event graph here with lots of nodes. You can see lots of things happening here, but let's go just to this part here. This part is the one that's calculating the character speed in real time, so that you hear different music depending on the speed of the character. So if you're idle, we hear something different than when you are moving in a normal speed, and then when you are sprinting. So this is where it happens here. Then we have the part for the attenuation. Once the RTPC here calculates the location, blueprints calculates the location of the player, and if the player is in the background, it will apply that attenuation that I showed you within Wwise. So that's that for here. And if you go to the level settings, so let's just go back to this one, this node here. For simplicity's sake, just gonna talk about this part that has to do with the timing or the timer of the level. So here I set it to 40 seconds. So once the timer hits 40 seconds here, once it hits there, if it's true, then it checks again for another condition. If the player is underground, then it sets the state to underground panic. But if the player is not underground, it just continues with the main state, but in panic mode. So the panic mode starts with the 40-second mark. You will hear it once we start playing. And so once the time is 0, once the time is up, and so you lose. It sets the state to losing, and yeah. So let's demonstrate that quickly. You can hear the sprint sound. You can hear those legs because we are sprinting. So we are approaching the 40-second mark, which is the panic state. So you have the transition, works perfectly. So once we go to the underground right now, let's hear what happens. Right? But I made it so that the main panic mode is still playing at the same time, so we just resume. That was close, but yeah, just to show you what happens. And so what I'm gonna do quickly, disregard this. Okay, so I'm gonna move the player just so we can hear the underground panic state this time. Right, directly here, and I'm gonna make it so instead of waiting until the 40-second mark, let's just change it to 90. Let's just wait 10 seconds before it switches to the panic state. Okay, so we compile and then we start. Let's just move to the underground. Listen here. So that was the transition for the underground panic. You can hear this different variation of the underground cue. Alright, so once we go back again, we hear the main, but in a panic mode again. This time I'm gonna show you something else. Here, once the number is 7 on one side, we will activate the fireworks. Right, so yeah, I think we'll call it a day or night. And I hope you liked it. I hope, I know the video is very long, but I really tried my best to make it a bit shorter than it should be. But yeah, that's the music system and audio system that I designed for this little demo. I hope you enjoyed it, and yeah, until next time, bye bye.